Hello, how are you guys out there doing? This is Dr. Gadson coming from bodysalsa.store, your nutrition headquarters. Today, I just wanted to come and share something with you. I'm excited about it. I want to go ahead and continue to share it with you. I had several different clients that I've dealt with in the past, and these clients have been dealing with some type of addiction for years. The majority of them were dealing with some type of substance abuse addiction. So when I read their psychosocial and their assessment, and I was gathering information about their history and everything that they had gone through, I was looking and I said, man, okay, this person has been addicted to this substance for quite some time. And this person has been through a lot. So I said, I don't even know where to start. This is pretty puzzling. I need to go and staff this person's case with people that have other knowledge and other colleagues and everything, and see what exactly other people have done in this situation. Because I was completely blown away. I was completely mind boggled. And I said, you know what? The urgency is now. These people are seeking help. And if anybody out there knows anything about addiction, seeking help for a person typically addicted to a substance comes in waves. It comes in peaks and it comes in valleys. So what I did was I sit down with a group of other professionals and I staffed these clients' case. And I said, you know, I'm really puzzled. I'm really trying to look at which direction to go with these substance abuse issues, because these people have saw all sorts of different types of professional. And most of them have been addicted to drugs for 20, 30 years or some other thing. They've been in treatment. They've been out of treatment. They've been an inpatient. They've been an outpatient. They've been a no patient. They've been inpatient, right? So with all of this, I'm thinking and I'm saying, man, these people have seen all sorts of different talented professionals. Some of them with more certification and more training than I actually have. And I said, I don't understand. What is it that I am going to give these people in order so that they are able to move forward and get well? So when I brought up their case and I staffed it with my colleagues, a lot of people were saying that, okay, in order for somebody to overcome an addiction, they have to hit rock bottom. And when they said that, I'm thinking to myself, and I'm sitting there, I'm just dazed, I'm confused, and I'm puzzled. Because what I'm saying to myself is, with all of the loss, with all of the grief, with all of the trauma, and all of the pain that these people have experienced, that they've told me about and that I've read about, if they haven't hit rock bottom, I don't know what rock bottom is. And not only have some of them probably hit rock bottom, but some of them probably hit bedrock and actually start drilling through it because they were so down, so beat up, and had experienced so many losses when it's associated to that addiction. So once I got that from me and the feedback from my colleagues, I said, you know what? Everybody else before me has already tried this. Even some people that are probably more talented than me, even some people that are probably more successful than me. I said, they've already tried this. I said, somehow, this is what I'm saying to myself, we are going to have to think outside the box. There has to be something here that I'm missing. So I went to my own personal library and I start to shift and I start to dig through all of the books that I have on treatment, on substance abuse, on motivational interviewing, on how to take the first steps, on AA treatment. You name it, I read it, I went through it, and I reviewed it. But one thing that I did find is some of the people that did happen to be successful were incorporating a part of finding a higher power and believing in a higher power. And that was based on some of the bases of AA. So I said, okay, there's something going on here. There's something that's actually working when a person associates themselves with the higher power. So I said, you know what? That's a token that I'm going to go ahead and put in my pocket when I'm helping these clients. So then I continued to read, I continued to research, and so on and so forth. And I still couldn't find anything additional that any other therapist had done other than that spiritual part. So finally it came to me, and I just happened to stumble across it along in my library with my other books. It was the Basic Instructions Before Leaving Earth book. And I opened it up, and it talked about people with certain struggles. I went to a chapter that talked about people with certain struggles that correlated with addiction, and how those people were actually able to overcome the addiction. And as I was reading it, the same theme started to continue to come up. It said prayer and fasting. Now, a lot of you guys out there, you're like, Dr. Gadson, where are you going with this? Why are you bringing up prayer and fasting? I'm going to get to it. And the reason that I'm bringing it up is that it was just mind-boggling, mind-moving, and so amazing. That's the reason that I'm bringing it to you and sharing it with you, because nobody else, I had never heard any preacher say it. I had never heard any professional say it. And I had never heard anybody actually put it together in a way where people would actually understand it. So I said, prayer, okay, we understand with AA and everything, NA, that the prayer part has been working. And I said, okay, so how is it by giving up food that a person will be able to get past or work through an addiction? I said, just simple food? Come on now. I can give up food. Anybody can give up food that's going through something. It can't have that much power. So what it did was it struck something to me, and it made me be more inquisitive about it. And I said, you know what? What is it that actually happens to the body when a person is fasting? What actually happens? So what I did was I got another book, medical book, and some articles that I read, and I started to read up about what actually happens when a person starts fasting. So I wanted to share those things with you. So what actually starts happening, and I'm going to be reading off these cards to make sure that I don't miss anything and make sure that I get it exactly right for you. So after about 16 hours, what happens is you start to get more mental clarity. So what it is some things that are fuzzy, some things that you are not able to focus on, some things that you are distracted with, especially in this busy world that we live in, you start to get more clarity on it. So that's one of the things. And actually, as I turn back to the book of Basic Instruction Before Leaving Earth, in there it says over and over again that these people fasted, the ones that were powerful, for 40 days and for 40 nights. So I started to thinking, okay, after 16 hours, to say 16 to 24 hours, you start to get mental clarity and mental sharpness. Man, I could only imagine how a person would feel at day 40 or at day 35 or at day 20 as this starts to increase. The other thing that it does is it optimizes your hormones in your body. So it starts to regulate your hormones. And anybody that knows of anyone at any given time that doesn't have their hormones regulated, what happens? They're volatile. They're subject at sometimes, if you push the right button, to do almost anything. So let's get this right. So now you got your hormones being regulated. You have your mental sharpness that's coming in the path. And also it's the body starts to actually protect itself from disease. So the body starts to protect itself from disease as you get this mental sharpness, as you start to optimize your hormones, and all of these things are starting to take place in the body. Also, what happens is your growth hormone levels go up. And anybody knows the growth hormones is the thing that stimulates the entire body, that builds muscle, that gets you stronger physically, also mentally. And also what happens is it brings down your insulin levels. So what you're doing during this time is actually, you're also, a secondary benefit is going to be that you are going to have weight loss. But one of the most important things that happen when you start to fast for a long period of time is autophagy. And what this is, autophagy is the breakdown. It's the breakdown of the body starting to eat bad cells that are in the body. So what happens is, as you go through this period of prolonged fasting, the body actually starts to eat the bad cells. So once the body starts to eat the bad cells, what you actually happen is a renewing of the new cells. So now we understand what it means by the renewing of your mind, of your body, your mind, and with prayer, your spirit. All of this is actually starting to make sense on how it is that a person can benefit. So once I started to read this and started to understand it, and it also increases your natural hormones, your feel-good norepinephrine, it increases that. So now you start to feel more lively. You start to feel more confident. And if any of you have ever fasted for any period of time, you know that when you are going without food, that you feel like you can fly to the moon. Although you may have some aches and some pains and some headaches, but the power and the strength that comes along with that is undescribable. So you have this things, all of these benefits that are happening as the body is going through a period of acute short-term stress, which is actually good for the body. What I can associate it to and correlate it and relate it to kind of with you is exercise, right? You go in the gym, you break down and you tear down muscle, but going through that process of putting that stress on your body actually gives you so many more health benefits that follow. So that being said, I read this, I thought about it, and I said, oh my goodness, I think that I'm on to something that can actually help my clients. I think that I'm on to something that nobody has associated together with psychotherapy and nobody is talking about. So I ended up sharing it with my clients. And I didn't put a religious spin on it. And I didn't even tell them where I had got this information from. But I had just told them the science that in any medical journal you can read about that's behind it. So my clients ended up going into inpatient. Some of them went in for a week, and a couple of them went in for all the way up to a month in order to get clean and sober, make sure that they had a physical makeup and that they were healthy. And then once they actually got discharged out of inpatient, I shared this news with them. And I told them what sort of things happen with the body when you actually fast, and what sort of things have been proven when it comes to treatment when you add a higher power. And my clients actually started doing both of those things together. Prolonged fasting with praying to whatever higher power it is that they have. And let me tell y'all something out there. Ching ching, man, what a breakthrough. I just can't explain how excited that I am to share this with you. And I hear time and time again, I read journal, I read article, all of the social groups that I'm involved in, where people continue to see clients daily that are struggling with addiction. And they get to that sticking point where they don't know what to do. This is something that I just happened to stumble across. That if you have a client out there, or you have a person in your family that is actually struggling with addiction, and you have not been able to help them, or they have not been able to get professional help, that fasting and prayer is probably the way to go. Again, there's research out there. You don't have to take Dr. Gadson's words from it. I'm just putting both of those together for everybody out there to understand and know the benefits that come physically and mentally when it comes to fasting and prayer. There's also so many other health benefits when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to resetting your metabolism, when it comes to your libido. There's studies out there when people were not able to really get an erection any longer. Men were not able to. All of their pipes were clogged. They were turning to blue pills and turning into other substances in order to get a rise. And those things had finally came to the point that they weren't working any longer, where they ended up fasting for 40 days and everything cleaned up and everything turned around for you. And again, the reason that I'm sharing this with you is because I've heard pastors, I've heard other people talk about prayer and fasting, but they've never associated it together the way that I am in order to see benefits and changes in your life. Let me recap a couple of the benefits that I talked about. Again, what's going to happen is you're going to get a lot more mentally sharp. And if you know anything about strength, strength is not physical. Strength is not mental. But what strength is it's emotional. When a person decides to use a substance and has become addicted to something, yes, there may be a part of physical addiction, but even more than the physical addiction, there is an emotional piece. What fasting and prayer, when it comes to addiction, is going to do for you is it is going to help you out emotionally. If you can go without eating, you can go without anything. Make sure that you go down and hit subscribe. Share this with your family and your friends. Anyone that is struggling out there, we all have things, we all have times when we're struggling with certain things that we need to overcome. Get this message out there. There is no one out there that has tied this message together in order to understand it and understand the principle of prayer and fasting and why It was left in the book of the basic instructions before leaving earth, the Bible. Make sure that you guys are out there doing everything that you can do to live right, to be right, as I like to say, to keep yourself looking young, keeping strong, staying vibrant. We have some tools and some things to help you at bodysalsa.store. And take care of yourself out there so that you can take care of others. And I'll see you real soon.